Hey, come here. Shh. I found the secret solution to healing your UC. And it's this new diet plan. It's going to get you into remission. Now, does this sound similar? Does it sound similar to the fact that you have tried many different diet plans and none of them actually got you into remission? Now, you thought that they was doing well and you might have been eating this way in 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years later, you ended up having another flare. And you're thinking to yourself, how does this make sense? I've tried this diet plan, that diet plan, and every single time I've either back in a flare or my symptoms never really actually go. The reason that is because you've obviously been like me, where you've been so blindsided that only nutrition is the only thing that you've been focusing on. So you've been thinking to yourself, okay, well, if I get this diet plan right, if I get this nutrition plan right, then things will actually heal and I will get into clinical remission. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. What I'm saying is to get into remission, there's more than one focus that you need to be doing. So nutrition, getting that on point will actually be a massive percentage of actually healing. But what I'm going to show you inside this video is the other two things that really helped me to actually overcome everything and get into clinical remission. And I've been in remission now for 22 months. Generally, when you first get diagnosed, the first thing that you focus on is medication, because that's what the doctor says. Take this medication, take this pill, and you'll get into remission. Then once you actually wake up to their bullshit and their crap, you kind of start thinking to yourself, hang on a minute here, I'm still getting symptoms, I'm still flaring, and I'm not actually getting to the place where I wanted to be. So you start looking into other things, and the first thing that you generally look into is nutrition, which is right, because everything that you put into your mouth goes through the same system. So why wouldn't you think that is the thing that's going to heal you? So over the years, I have tried many different diets, and each one of them made me feel better for a bit, and I felt great, but then some things kept on creeping up, or I ended up in a flare-up. So when I did vegetarian and when I did vegan diets, both of them times, I ended up in hospital. Now, the vegetarian one was down to the diet. The vegan one, I started getting a few symptoms, but then there was a traumatic event which ended up causing me to have a flare. But that was the kind of insight there. Did you see it? A traumatic event. So one of the first things I actually discovered was how your mind-body connection causes more flares. Can you think around the time you had an emotional event or like a traumatic event that all of a sudden made you rush to the toilet? Then you were sat in the toilet thinking, what did I eat today? Well, I've eaten that for the last 2 months every day, but for some reason it seems to be irritating and seems to be causing me issues today. Maybe I can't eat that anymore. Oh, you've just caused something else, which is a food trigger. So you sat there contemplating what food it is that's caused this situation. So then what you've done is then cause this massive thing. So every time you ate that food, you'll react because you're thinking, oh, the last time I ate that food, I had a reaction, I had a flare, it made me bleed. In actual fact, it probably wasn't even the food in the first place. So figuring out this mind-body connection, actually, I was on carnivore for a while. So I've been doing the carnivore diet, which has made me symptom-free from a UC for the last 22 months. But there were certain things that made me realize that my UC was healed, but there was other things that were messing up. So I ended up having some quail eggs. And these quail eggs, for some reason, I had a massive reaction. But was it to the quail eggs? So when I think back, I was thinking, I had headache, teeth ache, I had like brain fog, I had headaches, I had joint pain. I had all these sort of things that were going off. And then every single time I had something after that, I'd have a reaction. But I think it was down to the fact of me thinking, am I going to react to this food? So as the weeks went on, it actually got worse and worse. And it got to a point where I could only tolerate slow cooked beef. And then I was thinking, how does this make sense? Before, I was non-symptomatic, I felt great. Now all of a sudden, I'm starting to feel like I'm reacting to all these foods again. But my actual UC was fantastic. There was no blood, no urgency. I had no cramping. Like every symptom that you'd normally get from UC, I didn't have. So how was this making sense? Because I was thinking, well, it can't be the food, because otherwise I would be having reactions. And then when I looked more into it, I learned about the mind-body connection and how after that traumatic event, every time I was eating food, I was the one that was actually causing these symptoms. So when it come to it, I thought, I wonder if this is why I've not been able to get into clinical remission up until now. So all them years I was trying these diets, it worked for a bit, then all of a sudden I'd have like a flare come on. I think, why the hell is this flaring? And then I'd start blaming the food that I was eating. But it could have been a stressful event, or it could have been something that's gone off that, like emotionally, or it could have been the fact that I just had a thought that was a bit out there that brought up some old emotions from the past. But yeah, I was blaming the food that I was eating. Then the next thing was about exercise. So over this time where I was feeling like shit, I was reacting to different foods and stuff, I really started to feel very fatigued, very drained, just generally just like crap. But what I thought is, why do I feel so weak? Why do I feel so tired when I'm not really doing anything? So the more and more tired I got, the more fatigued I got, the less and less I was actually doing. I was like, right, well, I've got to do less. I'm not going to be able to walk the dog. I'm not going to be able to do the general house chores. I'm not going to be able to do, like, come down to the allotment and sort my chickens and things like that out. So the less and less I was doing, I was actually feeling way worse than if I carried on going. And this is when, obviously, I had the epiphany of exercise. And I thought, all my other flares, or all my other situations up until this one, I've always felt strong and I felt good and I felt like I still had energy, even though I was going to the toilet like 20, 25 times a day and there was shitloads of blood coming at me. I still felt like I had energy, still felt like I was strong. And I was thinking, and it was really baffling me, what is going on? Why? I just don't understand it. And it come down to exercise. If you aren't weight training, doing body weight training, getting out there, doing some things physically, like actually demanding, your body will not respond how it should. So actually, exercise keeps you strong, keeps ATP, which is basically energy sources, inside your muscles. So if you're not doing things like that, you're obviously going to get more and more fatigued because the energy is not getting pushed into your muscles. So I was literally at the point where I couldn't even do the basic things. So think of it like this. I did the carnivore diet and I've been doing the carnivore diet now for nearly 23 months. This diet has been fantastic. It's made me symptom free. But then I had the mind-body connection where I was still having food triggers. I still wasn't being able to eat everything that I wanted to eat. And there was still like emotional triggers that kept on coming up. So if I had like an event that was basically just traumatic, or it would make me have a confrontation, that would give me a trigger and I'd have to rush to the toilet. Then the exercise part of it was when I was feeling weak and tired and everything else. Take it like the analogy of saying in the allotment. Carnivore is a thing that removes all the weeds and clears the beds. Then you got mind-body connection. That is like basically fertilizing the soil, making the soils in good quality. It's got all the worms and the bugs and everything that it needs to actually create a good ecosystem in the soil. Exercise is like seeds, and it's like nurturing everything. So it plants your seeds, waters them, makes sure they're growing properly. All three means you're going to have a fantastic crop. Miss out one of them, you take out the carnivore. It means that there's going to be shitloads of weeds and the plants that you planted aren't going to grow that well. Same as the mind-body connection. It's like the soil. If the soil isn't in a great quality, it's not going to grow. It doesn't matter how many seeds you plant, doesn't matter how many weeds you get rid of, they just will not grow. All three of this formula has to be together, or else you'll always be in the same situation you have been for many years. And that is okay for a bit, then a flare. Or okay for a bit, but then things start creeping in with symptoms, and then you start blaming your food, and then you start getting to the point where you can't eat certain foods, and then you're like, fuck, well, here I am again on a boring, bland, shitty diet because I can't seem to eat the foods that I actually want to eat. So if you want to know how to put them all into a program, I have done it in the top link in the description. It's my 90-day UC fast track to healing protocol. It goes into how to do the carnivore diet properly for obviously healing UC, because mainly the advice you get out there is just basically just eat meat. Well, it goes into every single detail you can about which foods are great to actually heal UC specifically. Then the same for the mind-body connection is about how to get rid of emotional triggers, food triggers. So then every time you're eating these foods that used to obviously cause an upset, you can figure out why they're doing it and get over that so you can start eating delicious food. And then the exercise part, there is an exercise program in there to get you feeling strong, less fatigued, and basically feeling amazing again, because you now can start moving about and you can start living your life properly again. And let me know in the comments below what sort of plans you've tried so far. And that's it for today. I'll see you again soon.